6.5 hours later, which is actually pretty darn good time considering we stopped thrice. We've made it to the first leg of our trip. We are up in San Francisco, baby. This is my first time here, and my first impressions, the vibes are good. Granted, we're staying, I imagine this is probably one of the cooler parts of town. I literally don't know anything about the geography, the layout of San Francisco, so I could just be obviously having bias because we're staying in a nifty part of town right here on the bay, right by the piers, the port rather, because we are going to Alcatraz. That is like the main reason we are here. We are going to be doing a little sunset tour, a nighttime peruse of Alcatraz, which is a little bit of our hyperfixation. Yes, for any non-Americans who may not know, Alcatraz is a now decommissioned prison nicknamed The Rock because you're out there isolated on an island, and it was keyword, the most impenetrable, most impossible to escape prison facility in the United States at one point, until 3 prisoners did break out. What their fate was, nobody knows, which is why it's a very interesting kind of story with conspiracy theories around it, and that's kind of, I think, where a lot of the hype comes from surrounding Alcatraz, because it was deemed inescapable, and yet some folks did it. Granted, I think they had stellar IQ, so they figured it out. It kind of does feel maybe a little bit morbid being this excited to go and tour a prison. Al Capone was I almost just said patient. He was a guest there. A lot of noteworthy criminals and whatnot have had a little stint at Alcatraz, so I don't know, maybe it's morbid, maybe it's just interesting to go see what it would have been like, see how it is now that it's been a hot minute since anyone's been there. So yes, that's our plans for this evening.
On our way.
Now enjoy this lovely evening as we make our way towards Alcatraz Island, and talk to you all soon.
After what was, as you can see, a gorgeous boat ride to the island, we were immediately greeted by this water tower that has this amazing reminder here that, like most things in the United States of America, this was on native territory. And we made our trek up to the actual prison. Oh, we're right here. But yes, the cell blocks here, as you can see, I think is the main attraction. We followed the guided narrated tour that was free for the trip that we had selected, the tour that we were doing, and it featured narrations from correctional officers as well as former prisoners who were incarcerated here. And yes, as you can see, it's so chilling rewatching this footage back, but even more chilling being there and feeling just the eerie, the haunting just kind of spirit in this entire place as you explore it more and more. We were able to explore the whole grounds and go outside. If you've seen the movie Escape from Alcatraz, this is the familiar courtyard. As you can see, seagulls and their business everywhere. Let's just say it smelled like something else out there, and that wind was crazy. Yeah, I ran back inside. I couldn't tolerate much more of that. But yes, it became very abundantly clear very early on within the tour, as you can see. I just love that quote there, and I think it's so true. Nobody is intended to live like this. This whole situation, this whole prison, it became abundantly clear how inhumane this place was and how just awful it would have been to be kept here, and even such privileges as like painting. As you could see, they had the paint station there that some prisoners used to have access to, special privileges, things that we take for granted. Even just this amazing view, that's what was so interesting. It's such gorgeous views of San Francisco and the bay, but then you're reminded of the fact that the prisoners here, this was almost like torturous for them because they didn't have access to this. This was a reminder of what they were separated from, what they were being deprived of, just real life, real society. Alcatraz recap. I'm going to be completely honest. I think the biggest learning lesson here, which I kind of was half expecting, hence why I was anticipating that it's maybe a little bit morbid that we were extremely excited to come here. Like, this has been on our bucket list for a long time because of the, like, conspiracies and intrigue and just, like, the human nature interest in the underdog story of, like, the escapees and whatnot. Whether they made it or not remains to be seen. So there's that allure and intrigue about this place, which made it desirable to visit. But I think the biggest takeaway was how inhumane this place freaking was. And I feel a little bit, I don't know, humbled, having been so excited to come here and then actually learning about which it was, like, not surprising, learning the mental torment and anguish and just how harrowing it would have been living here, and that people spent decades of their life here in these horrific conditions. It's very hard to wrap your head around, and I think it's a great learning lesson for how we can improve upon the systems in place in our society, because nobody deserves to live in the way these folks were living. Let's put it that way. Update from the road, friends. Since this video is going to be titled Driving Our Car Across the Country, so figured we might get some driving, we should get some driving process. We've just left San Francisco. We only had one evening there, but dang, it was awesome. We literally caught Alcatraz. Like, it was genuinely the best possible, most prime circumstances for what we could have asked for a nighttime tour. Full moon. Perfectly clear night with just, like, the right amount of fog. Like, genuinely, the conditions were perfect. Could not have asked for better conditions. So we definitely recommend, if you are in the San Francisco area or ever planning to go and want to go see Alcatraz, go do it at night. It was so darn cool. And admittedly, we took the 8:40 boat back to San Francisco. And admittedly, on the way there, like, as it started to empty out and more people were leaving, it was pretty empty at some points, and it was extremely eerie. It was creepy. I was ready to go. I was like, all right, we've got the perfect vibes and ambiance. Had an amazing tour, and now we're getting a little bit of a sense of the kind of eerie, just creepiness there at night, and just the psychological, like, I was like, just get me back. San Francisco in general, can I say something, y'all? It might be better than LA. Here I am already believing in San Fran supremacy. Perhaps that's recency bias, but it is windy there. It is freaking colder, way more of a breeze, obviously. And we also were staying in one of the, seemingly it looked like more touristy, more just hype areas of the city, being right there on the pier, on the port, being able to look out at Alcatraz. It was such a great spot with a lot of cool, like, farmers markets seemingly and whatnot. So sure, maybe I have a bias, and that's not an accurate representation of the whole city, but even just that little area alone was so unique and so cool. Also expensive. I see now, holy shnikes, kind of forgot for a second there that we were going to the one place maybe in this country that has a higher cost of living than Los Angeles. That was a reality check when we went to a post-Alcatraz little post-game margaritas and chips and guac, and chips and salsa was like $23. So, and the hills, I forgot about the hills. There I was being like, wow, I could see myself living here. And then I had to climb up one hill, and I was like, no, frick that. Tom has pointed out that I forgot to mention that we visited the Ghirardelli seemingly headquarters. I didn't know that. That was news to me. I didn't even know Ghirardelli Chocolate was an American company. Founded in San Francisco. But we stopped there, and it literally was like they had this Willy Wonka-esque chocolate factory, just fountain of melted chocolate fudge going down the wall. Oh, it was so divine. And that hot fudge sundae was the perfect way to wrap up the day. But yes, it was great nonetheless. Had a wonderful morning there. Stopped by Mecca. Stopped by Lucasfilm to see the one and only Yoda statue. Unfortunately, the whole facilities, I guess, were closed, rightfully so, because it is a Sunday, but we peeked inside and saw their lobby that has R2-D2, they have a Darth Vader, they had K2SO, there was everything. I was freaking out. One day, maybe one day, we'll hopefully go in there. Me trying to send it into the ether to manifest it. Drove over the Golden Gate Bridge, took some photos. It was just a great time. Like, I freaking love San Francisco, y'all. But I guess that's the equivalent of somebody coming to LA and only going to, like, Santa Monica, which is one of the more hype, tourist-centric scenic, just best ambiance, the atmosphere. It's kind of like what you think of if you're thinking of generic, like, LA vibes. I guess that's the equivalent of somebody only going to Santa Monica and being like, I love LA. It's like, all right, look at the rest of the place. So now we are making our way. We've got a long ride ahead of us to Yosemite. It'll be a nice kind of pivot from the chaos that has been our lives the past few days, y'all. Low-key, I don't even remember if I filmed an intro for this video. If I didn't, this is, I guess, an informal, very belated intro to this video, because it's we haven't really had a second to like film a proper introduction. And in case you haven't gotten with the program yet, we're driving across the country. This is our journey from Los Angeles to the East Coast, where we are going to be living. We're driving our car across. San Francisco is not exactly the most direct route, but Alcatraz has been on our bucket list, and we've just been hyper fixated with it for a long time, and so we were like, we have to go do this before we head back east. So now we're taking a more direct from here on out. We're not taking many more detours. We're going to Yosemite. From there, we're going to go to Salt Lake City, live our best Last of Us lives. From there, we're going to go to Yellowstone, so we're doing some camping coming up. Minneapolis. I don't really know what is in Minneapolis. Sorry if you live there, but I just never thought I would go there, low-key, so we're going to figure it out, play it by ear. Chicago. Sandusky, Ohio, which doesn't sound very appealing, but we are going solely to go to Cedar Point, which is a world-famous amusement attraction there with, I believe it has like some of the best, like most highest rated roller coasters in just the world in general. And then from there to DC, baby, the nation's capital, our final destination. Oh yeah, I haven't filmed an intro because life has just been so, y'all, we had to move out from HE double hockey sticks. It was so freaking bad. Our move out, let's just say, that's why I'm like discombobulated, didn't really have time. I haven't really had time. It was really actually so bad. So this is a nice way to move on from that and forget about that. And dare I say, start decentering LA, because I was low-key getting very sad to leave Los Angeles, because I love it. But even just this first stop at San Francisco, even just stop number one, I'm like, this is better than LA. So I think this trip is going to be the perfect kind of remedy to like wrap up, do some bucket list, like once in a lifetime things that I never thought I would do. Like I never thought I would just go to Mount Rushmore, because no offense to South Dakota, but I just never thought I would find myself there. It's going to be nonstop. It's going to be bam, bam, bam. We're not staying in any place for more than one day. So it'll be, we're speed running. We're speed running the U.S. After quite a lot of driving, we had finally made it to Yosemite, and honestly, in hindsight, this is just looking back on this, I think this stands out as maybe one of my favorite parts of the trip. Our minds just could not comprehend this. Our Los Angeles concrete jungle brains were absolutely blasted upon arrival, and just to give you an idea of how massive and just immense this place is, I feel stupid for not having known going in how just grand and boundless and endless this was. We had to drive for an hour just to get into the main area of the park, just to get into the kind of central point of Yosemite, and then had to drive an additional like hour plus just to get to our actual campsite. This place was so vast, so grand, but our jaws were just dropped the entirety of the time. Shout out to Tom for driving, because I got to be passenger princess and just collect all of this footage and soak it all in, but poor Tom had to be operating our vehicle and trying to take this in. But just the trees, just seeing how tall those trees were, like our brains could not freaking grasp this. Oh my god, I wish we had more than one day here. This was honestly maybe one of the highlights of the trip. It was so gorgeous at this point of the night. We're going to talk about the weather later, but right now it was like 60-ish, 70 degrees. We were living our best lives, and just how quiet it was. Our brains just couldn't fathom just how limitless and endless and quiet and peaceful it is when you're isolated from the rest of society. But again, I just felt so like such a noob for not actually grasping how big this place was. There we are, setting up our tent. We had this amazing, absolutely amazing spot that was in a very kind of off the beaten path part of the campgrounds, I think. There were not many people nearby. We were right by this creek. It's so dang quiet.
Catherine's scared of the dark. She's running away.
Yosemite recap with sunglasses and a blanket on, because I do not look good right now. Nobody looks good when they're camping. Really like Yosemite ASMR because listen to this. Do you hear that? That's the sound of absolutely nothing. I mean, obviously, this is one of the literal most sought after camping sites in the United States. Primarily for the reasons that we observed. It's freaking beautiful. And holy, just can't hear shit. It's so freaking quiet. We literally woke up one morning to reserve this spot at like 7 a.m. because this is in, I imagine, one of the more desirable spots. We're right here by this creek, so that's like the only sound you could hear at night. Like, just insane. Definitely, without a doubt, probably the best place we've ever camped. Maybe next to Joshua Tree, but unfortunately the last time we were at Joshua Tree, there was a group nearby us who were not respecting the quiet hour etiquette. The kind of unwritten rules that you're not supposed to be chirping and yapping until 3 o'clock in the morning, so none of us really slept great. I slept here. Granted, it was a little bit colder than I thought it was going to be, but I had wild dreams, so I know I slept. And I still slept great in spite of the peace and quiet, because unfortunately I was raised from birth to have to sleep with a noise fan, so I've just been conditioned to only be able to fall asleep if I have ambient noise going in the background. But I think the sound of the creek took care of that. Another caveat for me to be able to fall asleep is I have to literally have something covering my face, like at all times, like as if I'm cocooned or in a cave of some sort, and basically just fight for my life the entire night. I don't know why I have to simulate these suffocating conditions for myself in order to sleep, but that's the only way that I can. So here I was with like blankets shoved over my face. So every now and then I was just like, gonna wake up, gonna pack up, gonna go, basically, unfortunately, because we have a freaking like 9-hour drive ahead of us. Like I said, this was so peaceful. It was so freaking quiet and just amazing. It's so, I cannot even convey how just vast and grand and just endless, boundless this place is. And we had to drive for like an hour just to get to our campsite, after driving for like an hour plus to get into the main park of Yosemite, like the Yosemite County lines. This, like I said, was so very much needed coming off of the absolute just kind of crazy ass week that we've had, just moving out of our apartment, and it kind of didn't go so great. So this was just like, it really was like the best camp experience I've ever had, because I admittedly am not much of a camper. I am a creature of my first world comforts. Sadly, I wish I was stronger than that. I wish I wasn't such a weakling, but I need plumbing. I need running water. Shout out to this campsite because it has real bathrooms with a real toilet and running water. First time I ever went camping, we went with some of our friends. Shout out Jason, Kim, if you're watching. And Loki, I had asked them if there were bathrooms on the site, and they were like, yeah. Showed up, went to scope out the bathroom, and learned that it was a pit toilet, you know, the kind that's literally just a hole in the ground, and I had to just play it cool and be like, oh god. I've gotten more accustomed to it now, but needless to say, somebody's throwing their trash away. The trash cans are all sealed, and every campsite has a bear locker at it to prevent getting mauled to death by a bear because you left your food out. But I think I've learned it's more so we are a danger to them. Upon entering the park, I learned that 21 bears or wildlife animals were killed here in the year of 2024, which is just so freaking tragic. It's like we can't even all we ever freaking do. We can't even go and encroach on a natural place like this, protected land, to enjoy it ourselves and camp without having casualties, without nature being the collateral damage. Like, we can't freaking do anything without killing nature in our tracks. So that was a rude awakening for me, that it's more so we are the danger to them, more so than they are to us. So I feel like that is a tragic statistic that just should not exist to begin with. But alas, pray for us, y'all. We gotta get locked in. We gotta drive forever.
We had woken up that morning and it definitely smelled like a fire. And then we started driving and we were like, oh yes, there's a fire. This footage is crazy in hindsight. It almost looks even more intensified on camera than it did. I mean, it did look like this IRL. This feels like we were driving through the set of Twilight, y'all, but with just a layer of ash in the sky. Just honestly looked so apocalyptic. There's something still kind of, I don't know, creepily beautiful about this, but we were like, how much longer are we going to be driving till we're out of this? We were in the thick of it, and even with a freaking layer of ash in the air, literal like particulate, you know, kind of clouding up the image here, it's still very gorgeous. And then, as you can see, it flattened out there as we started to make our way towards Salt Lake City, and we were blasting The Last of Us. You know we were. After a long day's drive, we finally made it through the smoke, back to civilization, and we stayed in downtown Salt Lake City. I unfortunately do not have much more to report from here. It was a pretty quick night. We got there, as you could see, right around sundown, which was gorgeous. I would love to come back here in the wintertime, frankly, and see the kind of ski town vibes and experience the mountains to their fullest extent out here. Other than this is literally like the only clip that I got from dinner that evening at this awesome place. Go check it out if you are in Salt Lake. We had a great evening. Beautiful view, beautiful city, the mountains there. I think we got some clips of it at sunset there before it got dark out, but this is my first time here and it's gorgeous. I feel like I'm doing that typical what's that meme I've seen on Twitter? I've seen people joke like Americans will go to any other city and be like, I could see myself living here. Not much activity here to report from Salt Lake other than just going to get some dinner, much needed dinner, and a shower after our camping adventures. But it was just crazy starting the day out in Yosemite. You'll see the clips from the drive. There must have been a fire somewhere, which makes sense because low-key as we woke up throughout the night, like it smelled like active fire, but nobody had bonfires going, and there was an ash layer on our car like when we woke up, and so our drive out literally looked like apocalyptic. And it was for the first like 2 hours of our drive that we were driving through just the smoke. You could like feel it in our lungs. It wasn't great, but it didn't ruin the views. It still looked so cool, like the kind of hazy layer that we saw. We are here just for the evening, but it'll be nice to sleep in an actual bed. This is a really lovely hotel and not be freaking frigid, y'all. Low-key, it was colder in Yosemite than we thought it was going to be. Granted, we were also at almost 9,000 feet elevation, so I don't think we took that into consideration when we were planning for the weather overnight, as we were going to be sleeping. But when we woke up and when we were packing our stuff up, some backpackers were walking past, and we were kind of right by like the billboards or like the postings for the day with warnings about bears and whatnot, or weather, and they were reading off, and allegedly it was like 37 degrees at night, but the feels like was 26 degrees, and I believe that. And we're gonna be stopping in Jackson, Wyoming, keeping up the Last of Us kick as we make our way there for our second round of camping during our trip. Back on the freaking road. It just never ends, does it? We had to just get up and keep cruising. Where were we? Oh, we were in Idaho here. This was cool. We were only trekking through. We didn't do any stopping, unfortunately. I had wanted to. I had this game plan that I was going to stop in Idaho and get some sort of potatoes. But alas, we had a long day's drive ahead of us. Where the heck were we heading here? Oh, we were going to Wyoming. Oh my gosh. We were just getting started, y'all.
Just trying to hitch a ride.
How'd you guys get over the fence?
Oh my god.
Several hours and 2 full soundtracks of The Last of Us later, we made it to Jackson, where we were just stopping by for a little bit of a pit stop to fuel up at this awesome Tex-Mex place, pig-themed as you can see, to get a nice meal before our night off-grid of camping once again. Tuning in for an update from a unfortunately pouring rainy Jackson, Wyoming. And dare I say, Jackson's pretty darn hype. The whole town is just like literally Western vibes. It honestly kind of looks like a movie set. I don't know if I would be cut out for this life, y'all. All these mountains, it's gorgeous, but it makes me feel so existential. But if you live in, like, you know, we were driving through Idaho, Wyoming here. If you live in any of these places and you're like, heck no, the mountain vibe is the superior to any other vibe, let me know. But I feel like I need more civilization. I need proximity to society. Like, yeah, maybe that sounds hypocritical because we lived in LA, which was surrounded by mountains, but like, you were never too far from a frickin' Trader Joe's, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I underestimated Jackson. I mean, all I know of it is from The Last of Us, when it's desolate / post-apocalyptic, and they just have their little rebirth, you know, new society there that they've created. But this was a very, very nice little pit stop as we make our way to Yellowstone, which hopefully is not going to be this rainy, but it's okay because the car needed it, because we were covered in ash from Yosemite, and our front bumper and our windshield, as I'm sure you've been able to see in some of the clips I've been trying to capture through the window, were covered, littered, graveyard of dead bugs. Unfortunate side effect of the cross-country travels. So we needed the rain, but we don't need that when we're going to be out camping. So hopefully, we've never also camped in the rain before, so we don't really know how miserable that could be. But we're going to find out. Wish us luck when we get there.
It's a big ass lake.
What are there? I couldn't hear you.
on the road again. We've got, what do we have? 9? 9 hours to Mount Rushmore? Is that correct?
Yep.
We left Yellowstone about maybe a little over an hour and a half ago, and it actually ended up being a great night. I'm not gonna lie, I was in a very crummy mood when we arrived. Didn't want any part of that because we were catfished on our way in. Unfortunately, our whole entry into both the Grand Teton and Yellowstone parks were it was just pouring rain, like crazy. I mean, the car needed it because, like I had told y'all, the front was a mess. It was the graveyard. But we were catfished because it was rainy, it was windy, it was freaking frigid. Like, we would get out to go quickly look at sites, but I couldn't handle it. Like, I immediately was getting back into the car. I was like, frick this, I don't want to do any of this. But then as soon as we got to the campsite, it stopped just in time for us to actually set up camp. And we actually ended up having a great evening. We went, explored the massive freaking lake that was near our campsite, which honestly, like, I don't know if I've ever been to just in a spot that expansive, that just vast, that grand, without other people, like, in proximity. Like, we got there and it was just us looking out at this massive, I've never seen a lake that big. It was crazy. So yeah, we actually ended up having a lovely evening. We had an amazing fire. Shout out to the firewood that they provided because it was snap crackling and popping so nicely. And I guess I slept alright because I was having nightmares, y'all, and normally I would be like agitated by that, but at least I I slept. Like, I'll take the trade-offs. My body was all of my energy was being exerted on maintaining homeostasis in my body and trying to stay warm, that it just neglected my subconscious. All my body could do was try to just keep me warm. Meanwhile, my brain was fighting for my life in my sleep, but it's fine. It's a sign that I actually did sleep. It took a little bit longer to fall asleep because, unlike Yosemite, where everybody was way much more respectful and it was way off the beaten path, that campsite where we were at a much more populated area. I'd say this was like one of the main campgrounds there. It low-key had cell service, which kind of felt like antithetical to the whole purpose of camping and kind of unplugging and being off-grid, but it was alright. We weren't sitting on our phones or anything, but it was just kind of interesting hearing people nearby us, like, having phone calls because they had service. But anyways, yeah, people were up chirping later into the night, so it took longer to fall asleep, but yeah, we pretty much got up, left, as you can see. Had an absolute nightmarish time packing up our tent because it did rain overnight, and it was really nice while we slept. Provided some ambient kind of ASMR rain sounds noise, which is always a dream. I like watching those videos on for the vibes on YouTube, like rainy campground, rainy cabin, especially in LA where we got no rain. So I was living large, and we had our rain fly on, so it was fine. But it was an absolute shiz show packing up the tent, let's put it that way, because it was just soaked. So we'll have to hose that baby off when we reach our final destination. But alas, we're only halfway through. Are we officially at the halfway mark today? This is stop 1, 2, 3, 4. This is stop number 5 out of 8 or 9. So Mount Rushmore, baby. Never thought I would go there. Only ever thought I would experience that through National Treasure 2. I'm just gonna be thinking about that the whole time. But we are glamping tonight, y'all. I'm so freaking excited. Y'all are witnessing a lot of camping cat, and this is not me in my natural element. I can only handle like one day at a time, hence why we planned this trip accordingly, and we spaced it out where we would do camping one night, a hotel the next. Arguably, we're doing back-to-back camping and then glamping, but we're gonna be, it actually looks kind of bougie, and it was low-key a little bit pricey. But we have a tent with a bed, a wood-burning stove. Thank God I'm not gonna be frigid in the middle of the night. Best of both worlds. I feel like that's more my speed, and I've never glammed. All I've ever wanted to do is do glamping, because you can experience nature and unplug and unwind, but still have some creature comforts if you're like me and need a bed and bathrooms and electricity and heating. You know, I can only handle so much of being chilly at night. I guess, are we just in the Midwest or just mid? We're
just in the West.
We're just in the West. Are we in the West or?
West. Once we get into South Dakota, then it's flat, and then it's Midwest.
But yeah, this will be the kind of last leg of our Western adventure before we get back to society. So this is the end of the camping. We're no longer camping out, which I'm kind of glad because our tent got fricked in the rain last night into so much dirt and shiz and debris. I would not want to take that baby out again, let alone sleep in it. It needs a good hosing, so I can only handle so much. I've never camped. It wasn't back-to-back days. Ooh, hot springs. Speaking of the hot springs, I wanted to go in them so bad. Oh my god, they looked so freaking enticing at Yellowstone. Obviously, it was like boiling molten lava water from the craters of the earth, bubbling up to the surface. But y'all, after a night of being chilly and cold, oh, I just wanted to go in so bad. I feel like I could handle it. Like, I know I'm a firebender at heart. If I were to be in the Avatar universe, like, I genuinely think I could have handled it. But yes, glamping this evening, seeing the presidents, chilling out. And then do we also have 9 hours of driving again tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow's the longest day.
Stay tuned and pray for us, y'all. We are clocking miles on our poor little Mustang here. She's held up, though. So, oh my god. Look at that landscape. Alright, I'm gonna shut up and get some footage of this. Just as gorgeous views on the way out as there were on the way in. And thankfully this time it was not pouring rain, so we could actually take in just these, you know, casually awesome views as you're driving through the middle of Wyoming. If you live in one of these areas and this is your day-to-day drive, that's pretty darn sick. I was not used to this type of scenery, but we enjoyed a nice little pit stop for lunch at this cute little country place, this little western place here in Wyoming. It was fun. I wanted to do stuff like this and go do some pit stops at little just restaurants and whatnot to try to get a little bit of a local feel through some of the places, even though we were just driving through them very briefly. But this place was playing a lot of westerns, and let me know if you think that was real cowhide. Tom thinks that it was. I was not so sure. Made our way, gosh, where the frick were we going after this? I can't even remember. I'm sure you'll see. But yes, definitely a really interesting mix of small town driving, you know, these towns that still have such western energy to them that are dispersed, and then you drive, you know, a few extra minutes and then you're here in a place like this. I really just cannot even fathom just how, look at this, like we just had to pull over. This was just casually on the side of the road on our route, and it looks like we're on a completely different planet. I mean, just insane. Well, against all odds, we eventually made it out of the state of freaking Wyoming. Felt like we were there for freaking ever. Oh my god, Wyoming is... Listen, I am a bad geographer in general, bad with American geography. If you asked me to fill out all the 50 states on a map, I couldn't freaking do it, alright? I'm not afraid to admit that. I know I'm not the only one. So, like, I don't know how big all these states in the West and Midwest are. So when we were in Wyoming for what felt like days, it was days. We were driving through Wyoming for forever, but against all odds, we made it out, and we made it to South Dakota. It literally started pouring rain on us right as we crossed the state line, which was fine because our car needed it, and then we had a perfectly clear windshield as we made our beautiful trek up there. Jesus! Dead bugs are dropping like flies, literally dropping like flies on our windshield currently. And we made it to Mount Rushmore. Freaking rocked! I'm so glad we built that into the trip. It's so much cooler in person. Photos do not do it justice. And even while I was trying to take photo and video of it, for some reason it makes it look smaller than it actually is in person, IRL. So yeah, that was really cool. We glamped. Glamping was nice. It was nice to have an actual bed. It was a really cool spot. It's called Under Canvas. It was our first time that we'd ever heard of it, and it is a chain. You can go, they have them across a bunch of different national parks throughout America. Acadia, I think Zion, Bryce Canyon, still very peaceful, but still had access to amenities. Oh my god, it was crazy. We had the craziest, I low-key thought our tent was going to catch on fire because there was this crazy heat lightning. There was no rain, but it was heat lightning and thunder like I've never heard in my life, y'all. Oh my god. Granted, it was because we were outside. We were barely undercover. We were under like a big canvas tent. Oh my god, it was rumbling and the tent was shaking. It was so cool, but I was like, are we gonna survive? Like, hello? I've never heard thunder that extreme in my life, and it wasn't from rain. It wasn't a rainstorm. It was just heat lightning and thunder. It was crazy, but it was so cool. So thankfully that happened on the night that we were in a glamping tent, which was a little more, has some more structural fortitude to it than our little tent. The other 2 times that we were actual camping. Where the heck are we going? What day is it? My brain's mush. The days are blurring together. The days and nights, it's all just a big blur. I don't know where we are, or what day it is, or where we're going anymore. We are on this road for, holy frick, what was it? Like 390 miles? But by the time we get there, we're gonna be in
Minnesota! Execute forward and sit.
hit the magical number, Order 66, as we made our way to our next stop in Minneapolis, which we unfortunately were only in for a very brief evening. I wish we could have had longer here. This seems like such a cute city. Probably does get really freaking cold here, though, in the wintertime, but regardless, I was happy to be back in civilization, as you can see. And that's literally the only footage I got from that night. From here on out, we were back in the concrete jungles. And hey, I totally forgot that our current Pope is from Chicago, so you could see the praise for him everywhere. That's a pretty cool bragging, right? I was glad to be back in an urban environment, and Chicago, especially of all places. Oh my gosh, what an amazing freaking city. I can't believe I had never been here. Glad that we were visiting in September, of course, and as you can see, we lucked out. We had an amazing, just gorgeous day, and thankfully this was actually one of the few instances in our trip where we could actually enjoy some of the evening. Hey, look what's out! Chicago, we have made it. We are back in the land of civilization, y'all. I actually haven't filmed an update because we were in Minneapolis for literally 12 hours. We unfortunately, after a 9-hour day of driving, didn't arrive till like 8 p.m., then left at 8 a.m. But from what we saw, it was really cute. And that's been one of the most fun parts of this whole trip, is just bouncing to and from different just cities and places in the United States that we've never been to, and just getting to experience each of them and see how different they all are. Whoops. I didn't realize I had Tom in the back there. Tom's lounging. He's been driving. He's been putting in all the grunt work. I've just been doing passenger princess the entirety of this drive, even though I have volunteered. I don't want y'all to think I'm some lazy freeloader. I'm more of a pushover driver. I'm not as fierce on these roads. I'm not so fast and furious. So I was filming, it felt like every 2 seconds, because there was just so many random, just amazing chunks of just land and mountain landscape. It was insane. It was amazing, but it admittedly was starting to make me a little like, what's the opposite of stir crazy? I guess like just too, it was too much. I was feeling too existential. I needed to be back. I low-key had a little mini temper tantrum the other day because I was like, I'm sick of this.
I'm tired of this, Grandpa.
That's too damn bad!
I just need civilization. I wish I wasn't like this, because it was so beautiful. The drive, all the western spots now, you know, the front half of our trip, because we are in the final stretch. We have one more stop until we reach DC, so the trip is nearing an end, and admittedly the front portion was definitely more scenic and beautiful in regards to the nature, and just the expansive, how vast that whole part of the country is. And like I obviously live in America, and I know how freaking big it is. It took us freaking like 2 days to drive through one freaking state, y'all. Wyoming. I feel like you have to see it to believe it. just funny because I wasn't raised that way, but I feel like I'm a city gal. I'm a city girl now after 5 years in LA. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm excited to be in Chicago, especially because I feel like so many of the formative films from my youth were filmed here. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Chicago, the musical, The Blues Brothers, Adventures in Babysitting, I think takes place here. So many just classic films from my childhood take place here, and I've never been here. And I actually have a family member who lives here, which is going to be really fun. To see a familiar face, a friendly face, go out, take in the sights, and then we've got an early morning because we're getting up and going to Cedar Point. I'm happy to be back near just population, which is funny because I complained about that. That's one thing I was excited about leaving LA, like getting away from. Well, arguably that's one of the more overpopulated places. I've made that argument before. There's too many darn people there. So, but I guess I missed being surrounded by other people. I don't know. In the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nature. Yes, it was peaceful, but it was starting to make me go a little crazy. So I'm happy to be back. We went out to explore the river. I was just obsessed with this, you guys. I thought this was such a flex. It's so nice to have like an urban environment, a city like this, but to have this kind of natural element, this just amazing scenic landscape here with the river in the middle of all of it. I don't know, it feels like you get the best of both worlds. There's me running off the bridge because I absolutely hate bridges. We stopped to refuel and get a little refresher here. This was definitely a tourist trap, but I don't care. I believe in doing tourist traps in your own country. It's fun. Went for a walk along it as well, and I just felt very stupid for not grasping that this area that we were staying in was gonna have such a nautical vibe. I don't know, I just forget about the other cities in the country until I'm in them and I'm like, whoa, this is an awesome place. And again, it was kind of a great way to continue decentering LA and seeing how cool some of these other locations are. Made it over to the Bean, iconic.
What do you think of the bean?
It's so tiny.
It's so tiny?
It's so shiny.
Bang.
As you can see, pouring freaking rain on our way out of Chicago. It honestly felt like Gotham, but here we go. Oh my god. I'm having flashbacks because we are now entering the final stage of the trip in Sandusky, Ohio, making our way to Cedar Point, which is a world-renowned amusement park that specializes in high-intensity, absolute crazy, record-setting, groundbreaking roller coasters. I think this place has like 17 plus different roller coasters. Yeah, there's me looking all innocent and naive, thinking this was all fun and games, but that was our first attraction that we were going to be embarking on. We're at Cedar Point in Sandusky, Ohio, and we just rode that, which features an 80-degree drop at 92 miles an hour, did they say? And I've never done anything that severe. I saw stars, which I've since learned means that I almost blacked out. I'm honestly not doing too hot. That's 2 coasters down. I might not be getting my money's worth today because I am not cut out for this. I literally almost blacked out. I was still reeling from only 2 roller coasters in. I was too weak for this one. I didn't want my brains to go back into my feet again, so Tom unfortunately did this one on his own. This is Top Thrill 2, one of their, I'd say, signature rides here at Cedar Point, and you will see why. Poor Tom was on this one. It was an hour-long wait, rightfully so, because as you can see, this is one of their more epic attractions. Oh my god. Just watching this back, I'm so glad I didn't do this, y'all. I don't even have regrets. Yeah, sorry Tom that I did not partake in that one with you, but he had a good time. He was locked in, and then we got to explore the rest of the park for the evening. This place is so freaking massive, and it was their Halloween themed. Isn't that so sad? Those are horse skulls. That's what a horse looks like underneath everything else. But yes, the vibes were very cool here. This was a great park. I wish we had more than one day here. That would be my biggest suggestion. If you are going to plan a trip, take more than one day, because holy shnikes, like, you can see just the absolute insanity of some of these rides that is literally dislodged from the track. They are hovering separated from the track. Oh, those poor souls. Yes, you were fun, Cedar Point. It was a lovely night. We definitely, I think, got our money's worth, even though we weren't able to ride everything. That's a little bit on me, because it was taking me like 45 minutes to recalibrate, re-achieve equilibrium after each roller coaster that I did, but this was still a great time. I do really recommend it if you're ever finding yourself in Sandusky, Ohio, of all places. Future Cat here, tuning in. We're on the last freaking leg, y'all. My brain is my bandwidth is running thin. Just hang in there with me. I never filmed an update/recap regarding Chicago, which was freaking amazing. I love that city. I would say that I would live there, but probably not for 85% of the year. We lucked out, obviously, and went in September, and it was wonderful visiting with my cousin, who actually mentioned that we must have brought the good SoCal weather with us, because it was like 70, 80 degrees when we were there. It was warm. The weather has been absolutely freaking perfect. We couldn't have planned it better. Other than that fire, which we've learned now, the Garnet Fire that's happening in like Mammoth Lakes, that all those mountains there's like 55,000 acres that's on fire. That's definitely what was smoking us out. Also, I have not addressed the chaos going on in the back of our car. Just pretend you don't see that. Made it to Cedar Point. That was our final stop of the trip. Tom's new favorite place. And there's literally signs there that say, like, this is not for the faint of heart. Like, these are designed for insanity. I went in, I was humbled quickly, let's put it that way. Went in thinking it was going to be okay, which I don't know why, because I haven't ridden a roller coaster in a very long time, and the last time I did ride one was at Knott's Scary Farm, like several years ago at this point, and my neck was sore for the entire week afterwards. Like, I'm not a whippersnapper anymore, so I was like nervous about that. I was nervous about joint pain. I was nervous about the soreness. I was not braced for the just absolute insanity. Oh my god. I was humbled, needless to say, but it was still great, and it's still, like, you get your money's worth. The lines weren't too long. They are some of the craziest roller coasters designed, just in general. Like, that is the purpose of that place. Anyway, we're finally making the last freaking leg of this trip. Washington, D.C., our nation's freaking capital. The last stand. The last time I have to sit in this car. We have to sit in this car. I've had it easy. Like I said, I've been passenger princessing this whole thing. So shout out to Tom, who has traversed. We've officially made it. We're in Eastern time. And I've just done nothing to contribute. I'm not even here for navigation. Y'all know I'm not good in that department. I am geographically challenged. Admittedly, yes, even though we are back in civilization here over on the east, the views, the nature is lacking more on the drive. I will admit that. So I'll probably just fast forward and see y'all in our nation's capital.
Made it. LA to DC. 59 hours, 1 minute, 3,732.4 miles.
Jeez.
3,732.4 miles.
I believe it.
Made it.
Hello friends, I wanted to quickly film a little outro for this video because I don't actually have any really actual conclusionary footage. We got to DC, all of our stuff has arrived, and I'm filming in this spot as opposed to our usual, well, not usual, our new studio, because this is the only area in our new space that is actually set up. So yeah, it's been a month. I probably, by the time I post this, since I've made a video, but hopefully you enjoyed this one. We're coming back with a bang. Obviously more to come, but this was such an amazing trip. Admittedly, whenever people would say, oh, driving across the United States, it's such an amazing once-in-a-lifetime experience, I used to understand maybe the weight of that, but part of me would always be a little kind of lingering afterthought of like, well, what's so great about the US? And I think I have been guilty in the past of romanticizing other places, aka the United Kingdom. You guys know I have an obsession with that place, but I mean, things that you know and always constantly hear, you know, the United States is so grand and massive, and to see it, to believe some of it, and living here, knowing how big each state is, and that it can take you days just to drive across one individual state. I still didn't really actually understand. Seeing is believing in terms of the scale for me. That's what was a huge learning lesson of this trip. This country has so many differences, yes, but rightfully so, because it's so freaking big. It's so big, and every place you go is so different. And I should note, every single place we went, there were tourists from outside of America who were there, because America is home to some of the most beautiful national parks and sights and scenery in the world. And I think, especially in just the climate in which we are living, it's very easy to just go on social media and think, oh my gosh, we're living in the worst possible timeline, and doom scroll and buy into that. And as I said, I've been guilty of romanticizing other places and accepting that maybe this country is just too big for our own good, but we're always gonna have differences, and that is okay. And I've seen now, you know, I've experienced, that was just the northern route, y'all. We could have taken central and southern. There's still so much of this country that I still haven't even seen, and I had only seen maybe 10 states before this trip. Isn't there a statistic that like a lot of Americans don't even have a passport? A lot of Americans don't even leave the hometown where they are born, let alone go see the other states, let alone leave the country. But I've learned now, you don't even need to leave the country to feel like you're experiencing a different culture. Every single city, every place we went to felt like we were in a different country. It was crazy. Every city here, every state has a different essence and vibe to offer. And yes, we are so vast. There's so many freaking people in this country. It's so freaking big. We were driving through Wyoming for 2 whole freaking days. But for me, I almost had to see that, to believe that, to understand and really begin to comprehend. Yes, we fundamentally always will have problems, because holy frick, it took us 60 hours to drive from coast to coast, you know? Like, yeah, there's gonna be a lot of wiggle room for opinions in the mix there. But I feel like it's very easy to be in America right now. Look at the problems that we are having, which we are. We are. This trip for me, I've been experiencing a lot of that doom and gloom, and this was so helpful in honestly eradicating that and really just forcing my brain to wrap itself around the actual prospect of how big we are and how beautiful this country is and how vast it is and how much natural landscape, holy frick, that we still have, how much nature we have, everything that is worth preserving in this country, in the United States. I know it always goes viral like once a frickin' month because you can tweet this out and it'll get thousands of likes and, you know, activity and whatnot, but there's that meme on Twitter that's like the European mind could never comprehend this, and it's kind of that, yeah, image of this crazy-ass intersection with a bunch of McDonald's and gas stations, and people like to think that that's what America looks like, and you will have people online genuinely preaching that that is the entirety of America. It's painfully wrong. And like I said, you know, it's easy to sit in this country and look at the ways that we can improve and look at our current faults right now. And there are many. There are still so many amazing sights and experiences that we have to offer, and I know it's a privilege to be able to do that, and that our car survived the whole trip. Shout out. Nature, that's the other just craziest, most mind-boggling thing that I took from this, that we have so much boundless, endless, my brain could not comprehend. I had been living in, you know, concrete jungle of Los Angeles for so long that my brain just couldn't even grasp how much nature there is. And I know I was explaining that the prospect of living in the middle of nowhere, as I kept calling it, surrounded by nature, almost terrified me because it's so big and vast and makes me feel so existential. But it was just a great learning lesson to take away from this, and it is worth preserving. And there are people in this country in positions of power who would argue that maybe it's not, but it most definitely is. And I think the nature, the boundless, just endless beauty in this country gets overlooked quite a lot. So thank you for joining us on this road trip. I honestly learned so much from every place that we visited. Next time you're on Instagram and you see somebody, you know, posting these amazing pictures from, you know, Spain or Barcelona, or it feels like every summer everyone that you ever went to high school with is either in Paris or Italy, or, you know, a combination of the two. It's so easy to get bogged down and look at, oh my god, everybody else is traveling and I'm just here. But there's so much to be seen here and experienced, and so many of these cities that I was like just mentally writing off in my head that I was assuming I was never gonna be visiting. Just go out and go see what you can. Alright, signing off. Gotta go unpack. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you again very, very soon.